We are live and welcome to the Sports Plug. I'm Xavier Williams, your host, with my special guest, Dat Man Dooley, out there in Oakland, California, joining us live here. If you like to introduce yourself to the people out here, Dat Man.
What's going on, everybody? This that man Dooley, DATMANDOOLEY. You can catch me on YouTube, Instagram, and I have a podcast for you as well, okay, on Anchor. It's called Crunch Time. Just let me know. I talk sports. This is my man right here, Xavier. Appreciate you for having me on the show, my man. Okay.
Of course, no problem. Now let's give everybody a little background on our relationship and why I actually have you on the show today. Just give everybody, like I said, a little background. We've known each other since college days, since the university. Shout out to the Tigers. And as long as we've known each other, we watch First Take in the morning. We do nothing but sports, and we've been tracking it since we were 22, 23 years old. And we're in our a little bit later 20s now, and we're keep on moving on. And our plan was to go to Vegas and cover the draft for our respective sports, talks and what talk shows and whatnot. And unfortunately, of course, because due to Corona, it had put a halt in our plans. So the same way with the NFL draft, when it comes to going virtual, we had to, of course, do the same thing. So instead of us having a live broadcast together, which we were planning on doing and putting that out, we have to go live virtually, and we are going to show everybody our first round draft picks for this upcoming draft. And we'll start off with the first 10 picks. Also before we go into the first 10 picks, this draft is very, very, very wide receiver heavy. Besides wide receivers, Dewey, is there anything else you're gonna see coming off this draft board, at least in the first round?
Well, first, I just want to say the best player in the draft is Chase Young. That's just my opinion. He's a stud. Even though we've seen Ohio State studs, we've seen them fail in the past. Let's not talk about the Vernon Golstons of the world who dominated college, who was supposed to be the truth in the league. For some reason, Vernon Golston he pretty much had a less subpar career, if you ask me, based off expectation for sure,
Agree.
But this kid, Chase Young, my man, I'm telling you, he's the future and he's going to my Washington Redskins, you know, and that's just what it's gonna be, baby. But yeah. Outside of Chase Young, I'm interested in a few players. Give me 1 second. I had put together my list. You know, uh, exactly. But yeah, no, honestly, that quarterback from Oregon is also the truth, Justin Herbert. You know, I'm telling you, I got him going real early. CD Lamb, honestly, to me is the best receiver in the draft. And I'm also looking at this linebacker. Okay, his name is Patrick Queen from LSU.
Yes,
Okay,
yes,
I've been having my eye on him as well as Cesar Ruiz. You know,
yes, yes.
Cesar Ruiz, which is the center out of Michigan. I really don't think that what he did for that blue line was definitely it wasn't, like it was underrated and underappreciated. You know what I mean?
Well, that's one thing, of course, about that offensive line position. Like I had earlier on my show with Will Shields, we talked about when it comes to playing offensive lineman. That's one of those positions that is not a very glamorous positions to play, just due to you're doing all the dirty work and not getting any recognition. So, like you said, shout out to Cesar Ruiz. He does play for Michigan and whatnot. I've watched him from his sophomore year to where he's at now, playing, and to see his development at Michigan is very, very great to see with him. Um, Now you speak of Chase Young, Dooley, and it's funny you bring up the bust that Ohio State has had with Vernon Golston and bring up other guys as well. We're not wishing upon any bust or anything like that, especially no injuries on anybody. We are athletes here. We played the game before. That's not what we are talking, but we know the realities of the sport. Injuries do occur. I think Chase Young is a hell of an athlete. I think he's somebody that's going to be a game changer probably on day one. He probably
hmm
will be. The thing about it is, can we see that motor from him 24/7. I think that's the big thing. I think that's what the NFL scouts are worried about because he was able to dominate college, especially his last year, so easily playing at Ohio State and whatnot. A lot of people don't know if that's a fluke or not because we've seen guys, come in and kill college, and then the next year, they come into the NFL and they see that they play with grown men, and
Hmm.
it's a different game. So
Right.
we'll definitely see what Chase Young is very interesting to see his development once he gets into the league.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. But overall, great draft class. Just a little upset I couldn't be at the draft because of what's going on right now. Like you said, we were both supposed to meet up and we were gonna have a ball. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like honestly, we both went to the NFL draft last year. For those of you that don't know, I have a video up on my YouTube channel from the draft last year, NFL draft 2019 in Nashville, Tennessee. Okay, we were there. We loved it. It was a great experience. To be honest, it's going to be hard to top that, you know. But we thought Vegas might have been the one, you
supposed to
know.
top it. They are supposed
Exactly.
to top that.
And it'll be back. They'll reschedule it for Vegas sometime soon, you know.
From what
But
reports
honestly,
are hearing, it might be back in Vegas next year. Don't know
that'd be
for
nice.
sure if that is official yet, but if it is back in Vegas next year, I will be there. I don't know about you, but I know I will be there.
Yes. Next year, that's perfectly fine with me.
Right. And so,
Yeah.
if Vegas is the destination for the draft next year, then that's where we will be. We will have a live show next year in Vegas for the draft. And this time it won't be virtual; it'll be live together, like I said, sitting in the same spot. But so let's go ahead and get into at least, like I said, the top 10 picks, starting off with Cincinnati. Of course, I think we're both pretty much in agreement that Joe Burrow is going to go first in the overall draft. Um,
Yeah. I mean, he's pretty much outside of Chase Young. When you talk about a polished quarterback, you know, he's. I mean, don't get me wrong. Looking polished in the college game is very different from being polished in the professional game. But Joe Burrow, he looks like he has all the tools that you would want out of a quarterback coming out of college. You get what I'm saying? You
No, I
know.
definitely agree. And I think the knock on Joe Burrow, let's be real, I think it was a lot of people didn't believe that one year what he did at LSU was on him. It was the athletes around him. It was the whole LSU team. And people can go back and say, "Well, look at Ohio State. He wasn't starting there. Why should we believe in him now?" I mean, there's other guys that have sat before, behind other quarterbacks, and they go, elsewhere and play, and they blossom, and they're able to have successful careers. So why not Joe Burrow? I don't think he's Joe Montana. I don't think he's gonna come in and win 4 rings for you or whatnot. But I think he can definitely come in and at least change the culture of the Bengals. And if they are actually trying to change that culture when it comes to winning and not just going out there and filling up the stands, then Joe Burrow can be, at least like I said, the centerpiece offensively to move you forward, especially with the new head coach Zach Taylor.
Exactly. Absolutely. I agree. The kid has all the tools. He's polished. You know, honestly, he, he 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 earned his right to be the first pick of the draft, in my
To be
opinion. You
honest
know,
with you, it was 2 games that really put the stamp on it for me when it comes to Joe Burrow. The
right,
first the first game was against University of Texas when they played, at Texas and whatnot, and when he brought LSU back to win that game, it rose some eyebrows for me, and I was just like, okay, man, this is a different LSU quarterback. This is not the same old LSU quarterback just gonna come in here and just mess things up when it's crunch time. Then of course I saw them play against Alabama, and I think everybody felt like for LSU, if you don't beat Alabama, none of this is what you're doing means anything. Then once
right.
they beat Alabama, I said, okay, this is the guy, and the rest is history. They went undefeated, and Heisman, all that good stuff. So it's hard to say you don't believe him when he's crossed all the boxes. He's marked all the check marks when it comes to being the guy. So let's give him an opportunity to be the guy.
And he's got confidence.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah, I
you
mean,
know.
not too many guys gonna come out here smoking cigars after a national championship game, especially in a place that you're not supposed to be doing it at. But hey, what do I know?
All right, right.
All right,
You know, it was done in the '40s. They loved it in the '40s.
but that's what I'm saying. Different time. All
Yeah,
different, all that good
yeah.
stuff. Them old heads like to be talking all that. But anyways,
All
let's get into
right.
the second pick. Washington Redskins, like you said, with Chase Young, most likely. Let's go with the third pick, the Detroit Lions. I don't know who you have for Detroit Lions.
That's who the third pick is, huh?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, man. Honestly, in my opinion, they need either they need I I got them picking Okuda or or I honestly think they need a new quarterback, man. As good of a quarterback Stafford is, he has failed to get them far consistently. And don't get me wrong, it's not like he's had the best teams, but he just has too much of an arm not to at least sling them consistently into the playoffs. If at least get far, that's just my opinion.
No,
I
I
think they should
definitely,
draft the
no, I definitely understand,
right,
especially Lions fans. I have plenty of family members that are Lion fans, so shout out to my family that's listening in. If y'all listening in on this, Lions fans, um, let's be real. They're going to ride and die with Matt Stafford. They're not going anywhere. They're not getting rid of Matt Stafford anytime soon, especially with them giving him 100 million. With
right.
so they're not getting a quarterback. But what they can do is, of course, beef up that defense because that's what you bring in Patricia to do is to better the defense. Even though Jim Caldwell was there for last 2 years before he got fired and went to the playoffs, but again, what do I know about sports? But anyways,
Well, no,
so
oh,
I
no, I'm
think
glad you said that.
so.
I'm glad you said that. No, because now what I got is Okuda. I got Jeff Okuda,
Okay,
and
I
them
got
taking Okuda.
I got Derek
At,
Brown from Auburn, defensive lineman
oh,
from
okay,
Auburn. I think they need another run stopper in there, especially with that division. Having to play outside in the cold in Chicago and Lambeau, you're gonna need somebody that wants to get into the trenches and then knock some boys down. So I definitely
right,
they at least want to start with that piece.
right.
All right. So pick number 4, New York Giants. I got Tristan Wolfs from Iowa, offensive lineman out of Iowa. The reason why for me is because I think it's an easy pick for the Giants to go ahead and get somebody that's used to the conditions, the cold, the ice, like I said, the crappy conditions to be able to come in there and help out your quarterback because it seems like they are going to stick with Danny Dimes and if they are going to do that, then you have to build around them. So you're gonna have to go ahead and start off with that offensive line.
Okay, no, I definitely agree. Honestly, your pick is better than mine. But I had another offensive lineman coming out of Alabama, Jedrick Wills, going to
Yes,
the
yes.
Giants.
And it's
Yes,
funny.
tackle.
It's funny you bring that up because that's actually my next pick for the Miami Dolphins. Just a tidbit too for people that don't know, Miami Dolphins have 3 first-round picks this draft. So most likely they will be trading probably one or two of those. So be on the lookout for that. What we are discussing right now is just 1 through 32 without any trades, but there will be trades. Trades will happen. So what we're talking about right now, the trades, I'm sorry, the draft picks that we are going over right now are going to get switched around because people will get traded. But for right now, I got Jedrick Willis, um, Bama offensive lineman as well. I think he's going to go high, and Miami's going to scoop him up because, again, depending on what Miami does quarterback wise, they want to build around that quarterback. So we'll get into that later. Los Angeles Chargers, pick number 6. I got Justin Herbert out of Oregon. Right now, of course, they have Tyrod Taylor. There were some reports thinking that Cam Newton was going to come. I had a couple Instagram pictures of Tyrod Taylor and Cam Newton working out together, but I don't know if the Chargers are sold on Cam Newton. We still got to see, what team is sold on Cam Newton. So for right now, I think it'll be an easy pick for the Chargers to go ahead and get an Oregon boy and go ahead and move him from Oregon all the way down to sunny LA.
Definitely. Now, who I had at number 6 going to the Chargers was Tristan Wirfs, tackle out of Iowa. Only
Okay.
because I think they can. I think they're going to be able to figure out the quarterback situation. Once they figure out the quarterback situation, everything will be swell. If and the key to figuring out the quarterback situation is obviously building the best line as possible. So once they build that line, I think then they could sign some free agent. I don't necessarily think they should take a shot on a quarterback coming out of the draft this year. Not that I don't have confidence in Dudley, I mean Hebert. You know,
Justin Herbert.
Herbert, right, right.
Gosh, I got
You
you.
know.
No, I
Right.
mean, no, I definitely understand. I think it's still question marks on Herbert. Honestly, I don't know if you remember. I'm pretty sure you remember last year. He was supposed to be, one of the top guys coming out quarterback wise last year, and he decided to stay in, which a lot of people was kind of confused because it seemed like at the time he did as much as he possibly could. So, um, I mean, to go top six, that's not bad. To go to a team, excuse me, like the Chargers, I don't think that's a bad deal because at least on the defensive end for the Chargers, it looks like they are coming together rather quickly. So you can get somebody in there charged for the Chargers wise, either Tyrod Taylor or Justin Herbert that can come in and be a game manager and not mess it up.
Mhm. Mhm.
So all right, so we'll go with Carolina pick number 7. I got Mr. Do It All Isaiah Simmons out of Clemson. Position wise, I put him down as everything because that's what he can play. He can play pretty much everything. If you want him to play, if you want him to play referee, he could probably do that as well too. He's a guy that's flying around, and I think he is our generation Sean Taylor. I know that's probably big praise and big weight to carry for him, but I think he can do it. Honestly, I mean, if you watch
Hold
his
on. Who was this kid again?
Isaiah
Xavier. You said what?
Isaiah Simmons out of Clemson.
Okay.
I'm
Okay.
pretty sure you've heard of him. If you
Yes. Yes. Yes.
like I said, if you
Yes.
haven't, I need you to go look some film on him because he's a guy that's probably going to change the position of football for the next 5 years because he's somebody that could play defensive end, linebacker, and safety. Again, he's like our generation, Sean Taylor. I'm not saying he is Sean Taylor. What I'm saying is he's somebody that can play every position, fly around. He's going to be every on the tape that you see him on. He's going to be everywhere on the field, and I think he'd be a really, really big game changer for the Carolina Panthers. So we'll see with that. What about you, Dooley?
Man, basically for me, bro, I'm going defensive as well, but I'm going with Derek Brown out of Auburn. That's who I decided was should be the seventh pick. Going to Carolina. You know, Carolina likes a beefy wall. They like a beefy defense. So I thought the kid out of Auburn himself, Derek Brown, which was an All ACC player. I mean SEC player. You know what I mean? So honestly, I hear you on the defense, and it's crazy because uh, who has the next pick again? Is it Arizona?
Arizona's next at 8.
Okay, Arizona at 8. That's where I had Isaiah Simmons going
Okay.
to Arizona.
I just
You know,
I'll be honest with you. If it wasn't for certain people's needs, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if he's top 3 pick. I wouldn't be surprised at all if Detroit says, "Hey, we all in on this guy," and we get him at 3. I would not be surprised at all if Isaiah Simmons. I wouldn't be surprised if Washington says, "I want to get Isaiah Simmons instead of Chase Young."
right?
And I know, of course, Chase Young is your guy, whatnot, and Washington is your team. But I think, and we'll find out. 3 years from now, 4 years from now, Isaiah Simmons is a guy that is going to be a game changer.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
we'll see.
No, definitely.
Going to Arizona,
Arguably a top 5 player in this draft. You
easily,
know.
easily, easily. So
Mm-hmm.
going to Arizona
Mm-hmm.
with the number 8 pick, I have Andrew Thomas at a Georgia offensive lineman. What about you?
Oh, you said with the eighth pick?
Oh, my bad. I apologize. My bad. Number 9, the Jacksonville Jaguars. I have the first wide receiver come off the board with Jared Judy out of Bama.
Okay, okay. For here, I just had C.J. Henderson, cornerback out of Florida.
Okay.
That's who I have. Mm-hmm.
I got him a
Mm-hmm.
little bit later on in the round, but I got him as well. Jared Judy, I think the reason why he matches up with Jacksonville is because it seems like Jacksonville is going to go ahead and build around Gardner Minshew. And if that's the case, then go ahead and get him some weapons. And, Jared Judy is one of, if not the best wide receiver in the draft, depending on how you look at it, how you look at it. And I feel like that'd be an easy matchup to match up Garner Minshew with Jared Judy.
Oh, Minshew. Okay, yeah, that's who the quarterback is. Okay,
Yep.
at in Jacksonville right now, right?
Sir, yes, sir.
Minshew. Okay, okay.
All right, so with our 10th pick of the first round, Cleveland Browns with McKee Benton, offensive lineman out of Louisville. That's pretty much.
Okay.
That's what I was asking before. When we first started the broadcast. Is there any other position that you might see coming off the board besides wide receiver? And I definitely see, like I said, these linemen will be off the board. Both sides, offense and defensive linemen, will be off the board rather quickly, going into the first and second round.
basically.
What about you for number 10? Who you have for the
And
Browns?
man, number 10 going to the Browns, my man. I got Andrew Thomas, tackle out of Georgia. You know, basically, I'm beefing up that line for Baker, so Baker has no excuses. If they need to get Baker out of town, then so be it. You know what I mean? But I honestly, yeah, I got Andrew Thomas from Georgia going to Cleveland.
Yeah, the Cleveland Browns have a lot of question marks coming up this season. Of course, not just with Baker. I mean, you have Odell. Is he even happy there? Does he even want to be there? There's been plenty of trade rumors going around. Just in the last couple of weeks. Um, that Minnesota rumor that I heard going around, I never really took any factual rumors on that part, but I wouldn't be surprised. Who knows? Maybe the 49ers, maybe, you know, maybe Tampa. I've seen that they have enough cap. Again, maybe I don't think so. I think they have enough over there, but we will see. Like I said, this draft is not just these picks. There's going to be some trades. Somebody that's in the league as in that's already in the league that hasn't got drafted yet will get traded as well. So we got to wait and see how this draft is going to go down because it's going to be very fun and exciting to watch. So
Right.
the 11th pick, New York Jets. I have Jeff Utica from Ohio State, like you had earlier in the draft.
hmm
Who do you have for the Jets?
Um, man, I got tackle out of Louisville, McKee Becton. You know, which he's 364 pounds, man. Ran a 5'1" at the combine, 6'7". So he's an athlete. 364 running a 5'1". That's what you call an athlete right there.
Yep. Yeah, I
Honestly.
had him. Number 10 pick with Cleveland. Uh, the 12th pick, the Las Vegas Raiders, which again we should have been in Vegas for this draft in the first place, so we could see the new stadium for the Raiders. If you haven't seen
Man,
the stadium,
oh
please
man.
go Google, go look at some pictures, go look at that spaceship that they call a football stadium in Vegas. It is absolutely beautiful, and I will be there sooner rather than later.
Right.
The Las Vegas Raiders. I have C.D. Lamb out of Oklahoma going to the Raiders, and also, of course, shout out to the Texas boys because we got another one. That's what we do. We raise athletes out here in Texas. What we do. What about you for the Raiders?
Yeah. Hold on, give me 1 second. Man, for the Raiders, we pretty much got the same pick there. I got CD Lamb, my man. CD Lamb coming out of Oklahoma. That's who I got as the first my first receiver off the board.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Mhm.
All right, so
Mhm.
we'll go to 13th pick with San Francisco. I have Henry Ruggs, the third out of Bama, another wide receiver. Like I said, these wide receivers are coming off the board, and they will be coming off rather quickly. I think towards the middle of the first round. What about you for San Francisco?
Yeah, I got Jared Judy, honestly. Going to San Francisco with the next pick because they need a receiver. They need receivers. If the receiving core was that much better, those boys would be unstoppable.
So as people that are watching right now, as you can see, these wide receivers, Jared Judy, C.D. Lamb, and Henry Ruggs are, I wouldn't say interchangeable, but depending on what your needs are, they might go as high as number 9 or 7, all the way down to, maybe 13, 14, or 15. Again, depending on the team needs. So we will see rather shortly in about 2.5 hours, actually. Number 14, Tampa Bay. The new Tampa Bay Tomineers, as we need to call them, since Tom Brady took over that team. It seems like it's Captain Tom's team now. For
Man,
Tampa Bay, I have Austin Jackson going there, offensive lineman at USC. You got to protect Tom, right? So might as well get him some help.
exactly.
So what about you?
Exactly. Man, for me, my good friend, I got Joshua Jones out of Houston.
Yep,
My
yep.
boy, tackle to protect Tom Brady, man. They need big bodies in there. So why not go with Joshua Jones? He's well poised. Houston sure does know how to breed him.
Well, I mean, if you look behind me, we have a pretty good Houston athlete. I can't. There you go. Have a pretty good Houston athlete right there himself, Mister
Yeah.
Landon Roberts out there out of U of H. You know,
Right.
I I definitely did look at him as a potential first round pick. I just be honest with you, I don't know yet. I think because of University of Houston having a down year, I think that might have hurt his stock. We don't know yet. We will see. Um, It'll be very interesting to see, like I said, in this draft. Number 15, the Denver Broncos need another wide receiver. So I got Justin Jefferson, wide receiver out of LSU. Another part of that LSU championship team that helped Joe Burrow get to number one pick. Justin Jefferson, I think, is a hell of a wide receiver. That's probably going to be one of those guys that will be. He reminds me of Michael Thomas. He kind of reminds me of Michael Thomas. I think he's going to get even better in the NFL, and I think he's going to be a steal for a team whoever gets him.
Exactly. No, I agree. Honestly, I'm gonna have to go with Henry Ruggs at that position, though,
Okay.
from Alabama. Honestly, an underrated receiver. Definitely has speed on him, or he can at least separate for sure. And he's real shifty. So uh, yeah, I like the kid.
No, definitely agree. I definitely agree. Um, Number 16, the Atlanta Falcons with Javon Kinlaw, South Carolina defensive lineman. I think, again, that's an easy pick for Atlanta. You're right there. South Carolina is literally right down the street. I'm pretty sure you've been watching him for a while now, the Falcons, and I feel like that's an easy pickup for them. They need some help on that line, and go ahead and make that happen, Falcons. Dooley, what about you?
Man, honestly, I'm gonna have to go with Ken Law as well. You know. Oh no, who'd you just go with? Because I think I do have Kinlaw going to the Falcons.
I got
I
Kinlaw
just feel
going
like the
to the
Falcons.
Falcons.
Yep, yep. Because I feel like Kinlaw was a good player, just not enough to be at the top of the draft. There were some things about him that made me not want to put him in the top of my draft. But I felt like he had enough talent to come somewhere like a 18, a 20, or something of the sort. You get what I'm saying?
Definitely.
But Kinlaw, the Falcons have really never had a all-star defense. The matter of fact, the Falcons are one of the few teams that if they had defense some of these seasons, they really might have been Super Bowl champions. You know what I mean? But they always lack in that department.
Well, I mean, when you have a 25-point lead in the Super Bowl, you would think that you should win that game. I'm just saying. But anyway, that's another topic for another day. We will not get into that. So, number 17, Dallas Cowboys. I have CJ Henderson, cornerback out of Florida, going there. You do it.
Me, my man, I have Tua Tagovailoa. You know him. Tua, everybody.
What
That's what
Tua?
I got. Coming out of Alabama, quarterback. Okay, I got the Cowboys bringing him in to scare Dak. Now, if Dak messes up, the Dallas Cowboys will give that young man the position. Yeah,
I don't know
I'm
about
here to
giving. In the NFL, ain't nothing giving. You got to earn everything.
right. Let's just see how the kid comes to
I don't know
play.
about giving. He might earn that mug, but I don't know about giving.
Right. Let's just see how the team comes to play. Exactly.
I'll be honest with you, man. That's a very bold pick. I wouldn't think to go that direction, but I don't know if you've seen reports as well. I just seen this recently. It looks like Jerry Jones will be in his own little man cave, doing the draft on his own. No scouts, nobody will be with Jerry when it comes to making these decisions. So we rather interesting for Cowboy fans and Jerry Jones to see this year's draft. Just him and his mastermind thoughts.
Exactly. Exactly. I really think he's going to draft another quarterback. Think about it. They're really not trying to give Dak a long-term deal. So, meaning the competition is there. They want competition there.
I
They
will say
want
this.
better
I will
quarterback
say this,
play.
Billy. That is a very smart take to think about because I've never thought about that when it comes to, well, let's be real. Me and you look at Dak as he's a good quarterback. I don't think he's a quarterback that's going to lead you to multiple Super Bowls or deserves to have $100+ million or whatever it is, but
Right. He's slightly above average.
he
That's what I
is.
rank
He
him.
is. And I feel like especially with Dallas, you have the running back. You had the line. You can get it back. You have a couple pieces here and there that you have to fill in on both sides of the ball. But if you feel confident enough in Dak Prescott to keep him and have him be the guy to take you to at least an opportunity to make it to the NFC Championship game to compete, then yes, you might need to two things, like you said, draft somebody to compete for the position so they can, so Dak Prescott can get pushed to be better, or
Hmm.
you bring in that young guy. Dak gets hurt, whatever it is, I don't know. Tua steps in, and it's an easy transition. You don't have to do that. So it's a lot of variables that's going to go into this when it comes to not just the draft, but if he was to get Tua, I think that's very interesting for you to say, Bill.
Right, right. Yeah, bro. So, hmm
So let's head into pick number 18, Miami Dolphins up again. I have, and again, I think he's a very underrated quarterback, and his ceiling is very high, or it could be very low, and we might never hear from him ever again after 2 years. And that's Jordan Love out of Utah State. The reason why I say that when it comes to ceiling here and there is because he kind of reminds me of another quarterback that played in that Florida area about 8, 9, 10 years ago named Josh Freeman. The Tampa Bay
Okay.
Buccaneers drafted Josh Freeman and thought he was going to be the guy. He was a big, strong, athletic quarterback that was, rather mobile out of Kansas State. And I think a lot of people thought he was going to be the guy. And unfortunately, he just did not develop to be that guy. And
No, that's really a sleeper pick too.
yeah,
Your
and
pick,
and I think
sleeper pick.
Jordan Love is a really good quarterback, but I think the knock on him is he wasn't playing against really good competition. He's playing in the WAC, for Utah State. So we got to wait and see for him what team he goes to, and how can they develop him, and will they push him into that starting position too early?
Right, right.
We'll see.
Well, for me, my man, I had to go into the Dolphins. I got safety out of Alabama, Xavier McKinney. Man, the kid's a hard hitter.
Hmm.
He's great in coverage. Smooth hips, just basically all you want out of a Saban kid. You know, like you know what program he comes from. So I got him going to the Dolphins. Man, the Dolphins got to up their defense too. You know,
Yeah, I definitely agree. I mean, also besides the free agent acquisitions, the Dolphins have already acquired a lot of their, or some of their players that they got in, past Patriot players on the defensive side. So they can add a couple players here and there, but it seems like they are kind of set on that defensive side. So I think they're kind of focusing more on the offense. But again, we'll see. We will see. Brian Flores is a defensive minded coach, so I would not be surprised at all if he brings more defense in to be able to compete for other guys. Make the defense even better.
exactly,
So I wouldn't be
exactly.
at all. All right, so let's get into pick number 19. We're back with the Las Vegas Raiders with another pick in the first round. I got them with another wide receiver because guess what? That's what the Raiders do. I have them with Denzel Mims out of wide receiver out of Baylor.
No, you know what? That is what the Raiders do. I can't disagree with you there, but they also like speed,
They
no
do.
matter what the
That's what I'm
position.
saying. So
So where I'm going here is Jalen Johnson, cornerback out of Utah. You
okay,
know, they definitely want DBs that can move out there, that can cover. So why not Jalen Johnson out of Utah at the 19th pick, my man?
I like it. I like it.
Hmm.
All right. So we'll go pick number 20. We got Jacksonville back up again. I got AJ Terrell, cornerback out of Clemson.
Yeah, that's exactly who I got. AJ Terrell, cornerback out of Clemson. That's who I got at number 20 myself.
Yes, sir. Yes,
Hmm.
sir. All right. So we're getting into these last couple of picks of the first round. Uh, 21, Philadelphia Eagles. I have Brendan, my bad on the pronunciation on the last name, Ayuk. Brendan Ayuk, wide receiver out of
Okay. Yeah,
Arizona
out
State.
of Arizona State.
Yes.
Hell of a player.
Yeah, again with the wide receiver class, man, it's one of those classes that is very, very underrated. I mean, very, very tremendous this year when it comes to the wide receiver class. These guys, it's going to have about 5 to 7 guys that's probably going to be in the league for the next 10 years and going to be a really, really productive player if they're able to be consistently, of course, productive. And again, if the offensive schemes that they are put in help them get even better, then again, I feel like that these wide receivers will be able to have long, productive careers.
Right, right.
What you say you have the same pick for Philly, right?
No, no, no. For Philly, man, I got Clavion chasing
Okay.
over LSU edge rusher.
Yep.
Edge rusher, outside linebacker. I got him going to Philly because Philly definitely needs to spice up their defense. Brandon Ayuk, I actually have going to the Saints at 24.
Okay.
You know, yes. So I'm with you on the whole receiver. But
Okay.
yes, I got Clavon Chasen, edge rusher, edge linebacker out of LSU.
And it's funny you bring up Clavon because I'm gonna talk about him in a couple, in a picks, couple picks from now. It's funny you bring them up because I feel like that is the biggest sleeper of the first round. I think, well, defensive wise, I'll say defensive wise, I think he's the biggest sleeper. Offensive wise, I have another guy we'll talk about shortly that is the biggest sleeper to me. Um, 22 in Minnesota. I have Jalen Ragler, the wide receiver out of TCU. Again, another wide receiver coming off the board. TCU loves, of course, producing wide receivers, and that's what TCU does. They're able to get guys that unfortunately don't get the same national recognition that they should. So they go to TSU, they ball out, and they are able to produce rather well in the league as well.
Right, right. So for 2022, I got another LSU Tiger. The name's Justin Jefferson at wide receiver. I got him going to the Minnesota Vikings. So we're definitely thinking on the same page as as far as wide receiver goes. You know what I mean? Hmm.
All right, so pick number 23, good old New England Patriots. Of course, Belichick up to his uh, classic diabolical ways. And the reason why I say that is because I feel like, and like you brought up before, Clayvon Clayson, I think he will fall to the New England Patriots. And I think that's going to be Bill Belichick's science project for the next 3 to 4 years. If he falls to the Patriots, watch out. Watch out because I think he's somebody that hasn't even fully developed as an athlete that he should yet. And if he's able to
Hmm.
go to the Patriots and actually perform at the Patriot level and be able to learn that Patriot way as they call it, I think he can be a top 5 defensive end in the NFL in the next 3 years.
Right. No, I'm definitely with you. He's one hell of a player. So for that, I actually got the Patriots taking Patrick Queen out
Okay.
of LSU linebacker. Got the Patriots taking him. And for my next pick, like told you, that's where I had Brandon Ayuk going
Okay.
to the New Orleans Saints. Add on to that strong receiving core.
Understand. And speaking of New Orleans with the 24th pick, I have Kenneth Murray, linebacker out of Oklahoma. I just feel like they have to, they have to. It seems like with the Saints, especially the last 5 years, they have the offense. We know they have the offense. It's the defense that just lacks every year. Not horribly, but it just seems like their defense is missing a piece here or there. Demario Davis, of course, is their main linebacker that they have in New Orleans, but I feel like they need to beef it up a little bit more. So that's why I got Kenneth Murray going to New Orleans. 25, Minnesota. Kristen Fulton out of LSU, cornerback. What about you?
uh, I got Christian Fulton too. Actually, yep, yep.
So I'm sorry, Miami back up again. Pick number 26, Cesar Ruiz, Michigan offensive lineman. I have, like I said, the biggest part of that Michigan line. I have him going to Miami.
I got Cesar Ruiz going to Miami as well.
Cool, cool, cool.
Hmm.
Pick number 27, Seattle. I have Grant Delpit. I think it's Dupuis. My bad. I think I said it wrong. Grant Dupuis, LSU safety. I think he's one of the guys that's getting overlooked. Even though he's going low to Seattle, I think that's the best place for him to go because he could be the next Cam Chancellor. I'm not saying hard. Well,
Right.
actually, let me take that back. Not Cam Chancellor. He could be the next Earl Thomas for them. I think he could be the next Earl Thomas for them, where he comes in there, smart, hard hitter. and just goes out there and just balls out. I think he could be that next guy for Seattle, and we'll see from there.
Definitely. No, for who I got going to the Seahawks is actually another defensive player, Kenneth Murray, coming out of Oklahoma. That's who I got going to the Seahawks. Basically learning under what Bobby Wagner's under his helm, and I think he'll develop great learning from Wagner. You know,
True, true. Pick number 28, Baltimore Ravens. I have Patrick Queen, linebacker out of LSU.
nice.
Talked about before. I think, hey, we talked about with some of these teams. Some of these teams are linebacker, teams when it comes to Seattle, Baltimore. So it's a good fit for Patrick Queen to go to Baltimore and learn from, great linebackers that they have over there and great defensive guys that they have over there.
Definitely. I got DeAndre Swift, running back out of Georgia, actually going to the Ravens, man. Because, Lamar's going to need new pieces and fresh pieces that can get the job done, whether it's the read option or the pass. They need to do their job. You know what I mean? So having endless amounts of running backs, you could almost argue for the Ravens, running backs are just as crucial as receivers. You know what I mean?
Hmm. Definitely agree.
By the right, because of the way they play football. They're a running team. So why not? Of course, on a running team, running backs would be more necessary. And Ingram is getting old now. Ingram's been in the league over a decade now. To have Ingram, I think he needs to split carries with some young buck, and DeAndre Swift is the guy.
Now I got you.
Hmm.
We will definitely see on that pick. It's funny that you bring up Swift because Swift is the only running back on the board so far that got picked in the first round. I think
Right.
that kind of shows you the value of the running back position right now. It looks like it's kind of hurting, even though there wasn't really that many great running backs right now. This past year in college, it just goes to show you, like, man, you have these running backs that are not getting taken off, the board so quickly.
No, really.
So pick
Hmm.
number 29, Tennessee Titans. It's rather rare for my team, the Tennessee Titans, to be picking this low because usually we're about middle of the pack. Usually, we average team, we usually picking around pick number 17, 18, 19-ish or whatnot. And for us to be picking this late, that means we had a pretty good year, and we did. We went to AFC Championship game, son. But again,
Hmm.
it's another topic for
Hello.
My bad about that. I think we're gonna get Trayvon Diggs out of Bama, cornerback, to help out that cornerback slot. And depending on what's going on with Logan Ryan, I don't know exactly if we're going to keep him or not. So I wouldn't be surprised if they go ahead and get another cornerback.
Okay, well, I had Noah Igbenogkin from Auburn, that cornerback. I had him actually going to the Tennessee Titans, but we're definitely thinking the same as far as corners go. Yeah, but Noah, I can't pronounce his name, so I'm just gonna call him Noah I. It's Noah I, everybody. I can't pronounce the guy's name, but yeah, I got him out of Auburn, cornerback.
All right, my bad. I think we're having a little technical difficulties. Give me a second. Dooley, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, give me a second. Sorry about that, everybody. Having a little technical difficulties. All right, we are back. Sorry about that. So, like I said, for number 30, the Green Bay Packers. Offensive wise, I think this is the biggest sleeper. Lavechka Shinavo. I hope I said that right, but I think he is the biggest sleeper of the draft offensively, wide receiver out of Colorado. I know the name does not sound familiar, nor does it sound sexy, and neither does the college. But if you look at his background, he is a guy from Dallas, Texas, played his high school ball at DeSoto, Texas. And he is somebody that I think got slept on really, really hard this year because of just all of the great wide receivers that we have in the conference, or sorry, in the NCAA. But if you look at his film, I mean, excuse me, he's somebody that can play not just inside and out, but he can return kicks. He's deceptive speed. Route running is very, very nice. And I think he falls to Green Bay.
I think him and Aaron Rodgers with that offensive coordinator that they have, Matt LaFleur, the head coach, used to be offensive coordinator for the Titans. I think they can work something out to where they would be very dangerous really soon. Just again with the Green Bay Packers.
No, definitely. I actually got Darrell Taylor, edge rusher out of Tennessee, coming going to the Packers, just trying to up that defense of theirs as best as possible because without a defense, Rodgers cannot win it. His defense has to be good. It can't even be mediocre. But I mean, then again, I can't think of a quarterback who's won it in recent years who didn't have a good defense above average. You know what I mean? You know, I
True,
mean, don't
true.
get me wrong. The Chiefs were probably the weakest defense out of all
I
defenses in
mean, and
like
they
the
probably
last decade.
were. You're right. You're probably right. But even with, I'll say this: the pieces that they added. If it wasn't for the pieces that they added this past year, they wouldn't have won. Maybe,
Right.
again, maybe we don't know. With Ford and also Honey Badger, I think those two pieces would definitely help them get over the hump. So I don't think that defense was sorry. It was just wasn't as great as we've seen the last 5 years. I'll say that.
Right. Right.
All right, let's finish this out. Pick number 31, San Francisco. I have Jalen Johnson, DB out of Utah.
Okay, I got Austin Jackson, tackle out of SC, USC, baby Trojans.
Already. And the last pick of the first round, Kansas City, the Super Bowl defending champions. I have Jordan Brooks, linebacker out of Texas Tech.
Man, I got the young man's young brother himself, Trayvon Diggs. Not Tavon, but Trayvon Diggs.
Yes, sir. Yes,
From
sir.
the Alabama Crimson Tide,
Yes, sir.
going
Yes, sir.
going to the Kansas City Chiefs to build up that defense.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I think that's a great pick. So, like we just discussed right quick, the first round, I'm going to bring up some comments that we have in the section right quick. We have James Jennings talking about his Steelers. He says that the Steelers need to move up. How do you feel about that?
Man, I don't blame him, man. The being a Steelers fan, not I like the Steelers, but
Yeah, man, don't be team riding over here. Don't you got one team?
yeah,
You can't be a Redskins fans and a Steelers fan, or you're a Raiders fan too, huh? Big boy. Yeah. Only
They
one
need to
team right
so
here, son.
yeah, man. So the Steelers do need to move up because the Steelers, honestly, they're in a tough position right now. I feel like they're about to fire Tomlin. You know, if he doesn't produce this season,
You think
you
so?
know, I think so. I think so. As safe as don't get me wrong. Listen, he hasn't been back to the Super Bowl for over a decade now. You know,
You're correct.
you
I
know,
mean, you're correct, but the Steelers don't do that. If you only have 3 head coaches in their whole tenure as a franchise, so that's not something that the
yeah,
Steelers go ahead and do. And when it comes to firing coaches, they don't coach carousel that franchise.
that's true. That's true. That's true.
But
You know,
it's something very it's something to look into. I say very rather interesting to look into. Another
definitely,
comment we have from Greg Turner when we talked about the Lions earlier in the draft. You talked about Matt Stafford, getting rid of Matt Stafford and moving on and whatnot. He says they shouldn't get rid of Matt Stafford. How do you feel about that?
no, honestly, Greg Turner, man, you're absolutely right. Matt Stafford is a great quarterback, but he lacks something, and what he lacks is needed to win. You know, so
Yeah, I definitely agree.
he's got a great arm. You know, it's he's accurate. He reads the field pretty well. No, great quarterback. Honestly, top 10. But the kid he doesn't have what it takes to win. It's just something in him that he doesn't have. You know, but I hear you. Don't get rid of him. But at the same token, why not get a young quarterback and build him up through Stafford for him to take over in a couple years? Because at the end of the day, let's not act like Stafford's not old. Stafford's been in the NFL for about 10 seasons now, you know? So you are around the time your quarterback's been in 10, 20, 10 some years, you might want to get a young buck behind him just in case he gets hurt or
Nah, yes. You're saying no. What you're saying is correct. You're not. You're not wrong. Especially with a guy that has not done. I won't say he's done anything, but let's be real. That's with the Lions. I think won one play. Did he even win one playoff game?
I don't know.
Yeah, you haven't won a playoff game. So what do you? I don't know. But anyways, we'll see what happens with the Lions. That's a whole another saga for another day. Anyways, Andrew Von Wiesenthal, looks like he is excited. Draft day, baby. All caps. We are excited for tonight. Like I said, draft coming on in about 2 hours and 10 minutes. Get ready. And also we have Brett M. Reese Jr., Chase for president. Of course, he is a Ohio State fan, so it looks like he is excited for the draft as well. I just want to say thank you again, that man Dooley, for joining me on live here. And I really wish we could have, gotten together and be able to do this in Vegas. But we will do this again next year, hopefully in Vegas or wherever it is, and we will have another live broadcast. Catch me, the sports Xavier Williams at the Sports Plug. After the draft, I'll have another guest here. We'll talk about the post-draft, everything that happens from trades to, of course, systems. I think systems will fail when it comes to this technology draft. So anything crazy that goes on in the draft, we'll talk about that as well. And who knows if that man is going to be here? Who knows if he wants to join us as well? So we'll be here. See you next time. I appreciate you for tuning in.
Appreciate being here, man. Peace.
Yeah, have a good one, guys.